In the last episode of the program, it was said that at the end of the story, humans destroyed the nest of the Earth's three-body organization and seized the information about the three-body man's contact with the Earth, thus discovering the secrets of the three-body world. Humanity realizes that it is in the greatest crisis ever, and in 400 years, a civilization far more technological than humans, the three-body civilization will reach the Earth, turning the home of mankind for hundreds of millions of years into an alien colony. So from this moment on, all mankind has opened a new era, the Age of Crisis. And the book Dark Forest we are going to talk about today is the story that happened during the Age of Crisis. In the Age of Crisis, humanity will have a head-to-head contact with the three-body civilization. At the same time, the three-body crisis also forced mankind to go to the stars, and a space fleet independent of the Earth emerged, becoming a living force for mankind. In the process, the nature of human beings to the universe. I have a deeper understanding. That is the law of the dark forest. So what exactly is the law of the dark forest? How does the protagonist in the book cross over 200 years of time? It's against the three-body man. Let's get into the story now. We have already said it in the first part. Fundamental physics research on the Earth. The microscopic intelligent particles that have been divided into three-body bodies. Proton. By interfering with the results of human experiments. Locked up. The consequences of this death are very serious. It not only makes it impossible for humans to be scientifically again. There are people like Newton or Einstein. An epoch-making breakthrough. And it fundamentally breaks off human beings' dependence on their own development. The path of resistance to the three-body man. Why do you say that? This is because the disciplines that make up all human knowledge. It is not completely separate and independent. There is a logical correlation and strict order between them. About 13.5 billion years. The Big Bang formed the matter of our universe. Energy and space-time. These basic characteristics make up physics. Next comes matter and energy. Constitutes atoms and molecules. Study the relationship between these atoms and molecules. The discipline became. After that, there was life on Earth. Evolve and evolve. This is biology. While history, literature, and philosophy. These humanities are emerging in human beings. And after creating civilization, it was slowly formed. Therefore, there is a discipline to study. It predates all disciplines. Is the most fundamental. That's right. It's physics. There are no Faraday and Maxwell. Physical theories on electromagnetism. There could be no electric revolution. There are no Einstein and Planck. Knowledge of quantum mechanics and the theory of relativity. Humanity simply cannot step into the atomic age. Can be understood this way. Advances in physics is the engine of all scientific progress. The three-body man is very witty. They understand. No physics. Humans can only stand still in technology. The main research method in physics is experiment. Therefore, the three-body problem people simply do nothing. Directly send protons to interfere with all our advanced physics experiments. Make the human liver glare. Scientific and technological development is standing still. Humans have no way. Only in the existing situation. Run to improve your skills in other disciplines first. But it's like a duel between two martial arts people. If you don't have enough internal strength, no matter how fancy the moves are, they are useless. A more direct analogy. The three-body problem has strategic missiles. And we only have bows and arrows in our hands. Even if we constantly improve the bow and arrow in our hands, the huge scientific and technological differences between the two civilizations remain unchanged. This is the background to the beginning of the crisis era. In this context, humans have proposed two self-help schemes. The first option is to create a space force. When the three-body man arrived on Earth, humanity will usher in a doomsday decisive battle. Although the possibility of defeating the three-body man is slim, but humans are not willing to sit still. Thus, the first response plan of the crisis era was born. Humanity began to build the Space Force, trying to fight against the three-body civilization. However, in the early days of the crisis era, Humans are even pitifully few on space stations, and the technical field of space battleships. Then it is completely empty. So the plan to build a space force. The progress was very slow. Meanwhile, humanity's plan number 2. But it can be implemented immediately. Option 2 is based on one very imaginative story setting. That is, the three-body man has no thinking. At the beginning of the Dark Forest novel, Liu Cixin wrote a long dialogue. It is a remnant of a piece of Earth's three-body organization. Dialogue with the three-body civilization. From this conversation, humanity learns. The thinking of the three-body man is transparent. What does it mean? Let's say we humans. Often thinking in my heart is the same thing. It's another thing to say. But the three-body man is not like that. Their communication is entirely directly through brainwaves. That is to say, think and say. For them, it was completely the same thing. This makes the three-body man and humans very different. Because there is no way to hide thoughts and thoughts. Therefore, there are no secrets in the three-body civilization. At the same time, they do not know how to deceive and plot. Even they have no way of understanding what deception means. Stories like Little Red Riding Hood are not understood by people on the three-body problem. Not to mention a high-level strategy like 36G. So in front of the three-body man, humans have a valuable advantage. Although the three-body man can oversee everything on Earth through protons. But he couldn't see through the human mind. As long as you can do not communicate with the outside world. The heart of every human being is to protons. For the three-body problem, it can be called an eternal secret. The second plan to deal with the three-body problems was born. This is the wall-facing plan. Its specific content is: elect outstanding people in human society. Let them strategize entirely on their own minds. And keep the strategy completely in your mind. Don't tell anyone. And in real life, it is necessary to use practical behavior as a means of confusing the enemy. In simple terms, the behavior of the wall-facing person is what you think I'm doing, not something I really want to do. This kind of superb strategic battle emphasizes the refinement of strategy and the precision of candidates. It doesn't have to be too much in quantity. So the United Nations Planetary Defense Council, 4 people were selected as wall-facers. These 4 people, as a wall-facing person, in terms of global economic resources and political power, has great dominance. The United Nations has dedicated its governing body to them, in order to mobilize all resources that can be mobilized. And the task of the wall-facing person, it is all kinds of illusions. Build a carefully disguised misleading scheme. Let no one know his true intentions, so that when facing off against the three-body man, victory by surprise. Word. Ming repaired plank roads. Secretly go to Chansong. This is human beings in crisis opportunities. 2 plans to deal with the three-body civilization. One is positive. Fight directly against the three-body man with the space fleet. The second is roundabout. Rely on human strengths and strategies to fight against the three-body man. So for 200 years. How are these 2 plans implemented? Can mankind's own space fleet be worth a battle? Can the wall-facing plan deceive the three-body man? First of all, let's take a look at the wall-facing plan. In Buddhist Zen Buddhism, facing the wall represents no distractions, meditation and enlightenment. Corresponding to the wall is the broken wall. He immediately realized that he was very enlightened. In response to the wall-facing plan, the remnants of the Earth three-body organization, wall-breakers, were elected. The purpose is to break through the thinking barriers of those who face the wall. Look into their true intentions. It is the advent of the three-body man. Make a final effort. Compared with Zen Buddhism's epiphany, what a cruel alternative insight. Because it was the day when the wall was broken. It was the day when the wall-facing plan failed. Then the wall-facing plan. And the protagonist of our book. What does Luoji have to do with it? After all, compared with the tall wall-facing plan, the logic is too ordinary. He is a third-rate scholar. It is still relatively unpopular sociological research. Cynical every day. Some academic garbage is being produced. Basically, it is in a state of eating and waiting for death. But his protagonist aura lies in he, and we talked about it in the first part. The leader of the famous Earth three-body organization, Liu Cixin, has a one-sided relationship. In a short meeting, Liu Cixin suggested that logic open up a new field of research, sociology of the universe. He also gave logic two incorrect axioms. First, survival is the first need of civilization. Second, civilization continues to grow and expand. The total amount of matter in the universe remains the same. He told logic, start with these two axioms. He can do what Euclid derives various geometric theorems. Derive and establish a whole cosmic sociology. But when Liu Cixin and Liu Cixin met, the whole world already knows about the three-body problem. Alien research is already rotten. Liu Cixin is not attentive enough. Naturally, he didn't make a name for himself. And one day, an accidental car accident befalls Rogi. After he woke up from the car accident, was pulled directly onto the plane to United Nations headquarters across the ocean. That was the first announcement site of the wall-facing person. At that time, 3 wall-facing people had already been elected. They are the U.S. Secretary of Defense, President of Venezuela, a scientist who has won the Nobel Prize. After these 3 amazing big men, it is the 4th one facing the wall. All this came without warning. Logic is unprepared for this. At the same time that the wall plan is generated, the wall-breaking plan of the three-body organization was also officially launched. But there are only 3 wall breakers. There is no corresponding wall breaker in logic, because he doesn't have his own wall plan at all. The UN told him the reason why he became a wall facer and his mission. He needs to understand it himself. Facing the sudden burden, the logic does not penetrate anything. Completely blinded him. Not sure what to do. I don't know how to do it. I believe many people feel this way. People around me have entered the work with confidence. But I was completely confused. Stand in place. In such a situation, failure and abandonment, it has become a very viable option. But unlike ordinary people, logic as a wall facer, huge resources can be mobilized. In simple terms, that is, he can do whatever he wants. And it doesn't need to be explained to anyone. Who knows if he is already facing the wall? Who knows if what he did was a strategic deception? Everything can be part of the plan. When the other 3 people face the wall are conscientiously engaged in their work, began research on a nuclear bomb with a huge yield. When projects such as supercomputers, what Liu Cixin grabbed in his heart was to go to his wall plan. Lao Tzu wants to enjoy life to the fullest. He asked the United Nations to find him a scenic estate. Began his own extravagant and indulgent seclusive life, immersed in a state of complete ignorance. Compared with the huge resources consumed by several other wall-facing people, Rogi's consumption can be said to be a drop in the bucket. And compared to other wall-facing people, there is a lot of fanfare. A strategic action that is very serious. Logi's way is also more mysterious. So the United Nations has not cared about him. 5 years have passed. 5 years ago, the other 3 were planned to face the wall in an orderly manner. Liu Cixin got married and had a son. Live peaceful days. However, in the 8th year of the crisis era, the wall-facing plan ushered in the first wall breaker. The one who was broken was the U.S. Secretary of Defense. He created a space version of the kamikaze death squad. What does it mean? The defense minister was involved in international wars. Learned from experience. A lot of trained space troops were concentrated. Formed a small detachment. The Minister of Defense claimed, this squad will attack in a suicide style. Come to destroy the three-body fleet. This plan sounds difficult. Because it is close to the Trimaran fleet. It is a very difficult thing. But the wallbreaker saw through the plan. It turned out that this suicide squad, it was never intended to directly attack the Trimaran fleet. Their target is the Earth fleet. Buy on the Earth fleet. Secretly arrange suicide devices. Let all the warships on Earth self-destruct at the same time. Like a suicide attack. Together with the Trimaran fleet, it will die. The wallbreaker mocked the Minister of Defense. This strategy of annihilating humanity. The defense minister committed suicide in despair. Next, the second wall-facing man. The tough guy president of Venezuela in South America. His strategy is to build a supernuclear bomb. However, the bomb was not targeted at the three-body man either. His thoughts are more terrible than those of the U.S. Secretary of Defense. He wants to bring the entire solar system and the three-body man to their death. The specific way is, first, bomb Mercury, which is closest to the Sun, with a nuclear bomb. Let Mercury fall into the Sun. Triggers a chain reaction inside the Sun. Let the Sun become an all-consuming god of death. The chain reaction will eventually bring planets such as Venus, Earth, and Mars. One by one they fell into the Sun like meteors. At that time, no matter how powerful the invading Trisolan fleet is, will disappear in an instant with the destruction of the solar system. Of course, this is the worst-case scenario of the scenario. The main purpose of this strategy, or let the three-body man see the stakes, as the last killer feature that threatens the three-body man. But when the three-body problem breaker made the plan of the South American tough guy public, humanity was the first to not agree. They felt that in order to achieve such a strategy, risking everyone's life, this is simply more evil than 10 Hitlers. So this South American tough guy was seen as a tough guy, a devil more terrifying than the three-body man. He was actually stoned to death by his own human compatriots. It's really embarrassing. As for the third wall-facing man, the Nobel Prize scientist, ostensibly to study brain science, enhance human brain power through technology, thus accelerating scientific development. But actually, his strategy is to develop a superchip implanted in the human brain, controlling the human brain-mind at a microscopic level. Thus humanity becomes fearless. Only the creature that carries out the command knows to fight against the mighty Trimaran fleet. But the mind is controlled. In itself, it is one of the most feared things of mankind. Ironically, this wall-facing wall-breaker is his wife. After being broken by his wife, this wall-facing man was slowly forgotten, withdrew from the stage of history. This is the ending of the first three wall-facing people. They all failed. Just when the wall-facing plan was about to go bankrupt, Roger still lives his own life. Nothing was done. The United Nations cannot bear it. Decided to put pressure on this unreliable wall-facer. Took away his wife and children. The UN also told him, "Why did you choose him to face the wall?" It turns out that Liu Cixin is among all mankind the only one who was issued a clear order by the three-body man to get rid of him. This is the real reason why he was able to become a wall-facer. The logic now must find out where his real threat to the three-body civilization lies. Otherwise, he would never see his wife and children again. At this time, those words suddenly flashed in Logic's mind. Sociology of the universe. That's what Liu Cixin told him back then. Although he later failed in the project. However, the picture of the sociology of the universe described by Liu Cixin to him is vivid. 2 axioms. First, survival is the first need of civilization. Second, civilization continues to grow and expand. The total amount of matter in the universe remains the same. Starting from these 2 sentences. In the 6th year of becoming a wall-facing person, Logic finally got to work. Facing the stars. Such doubts first arose in the heart of Logic. Since the closest galaxy to Earth has alien civilizations, then there must be a large number of higher civilizations in the universe. But why have humans never been informed of their existence? It was as if these higher civilizations were hidden. Logic began to struggle with the answer. First of all, according to the 2 axioms mentioned by Liu Cixin, the total matter and resources in the universe are constant. But civilization in the universe is growing as rapidly as bacteria in a petri dish. To obtain the material resources of the universe, all civilizations will engage in a brutal competition. But if so, the universe should have been crowded long ago. But why, in our opinion, it's still so empty? This is because of the existence of a chain of cosmic suspicions. What is a chain of suspicion? Let's imagine the universe as a dark forest. Every civilization is a hunter with a gun. As one of the hunters, do you dare to ask one? Greet the hunter you just spotted. Conceive. If the hunter is malicious, then the civilization that exposes its position, you will be killed immediately. Even if the hunter claims to be friendly. But how can you confirm this? Maybe he just wants you to let your guard down and then destroy you. Take a step back. Even if you can be sure that he is friendly. But how do you know? There was no suspicion in his heart. Do you have bad intentions? In the black forest like the universe, across a long distance, completely effective communication is not possible. So there is only constant suspicion between civilizations. This is the chain of suspicion. This chain of suspicion can never be dissolved. In the dark forest of the universe, it will continue forever. In this case, the good and evil and morality of civilization have become irrelevant. Once civilization enters the chain of suspicion, there are only two options that can be made: attack the other person or hide yourself. And according to the first, survival is the first need of civilization. It can be inferred. To survive, civilization must hide itself. When you can't hide yourself, attack became the only option. And civilization is not only when it is threatened, will choose to attack. Life on Earth was born more than 3 billion years ago. Human civilization is only 5,000 years old. In these 5,000 years, modern technology developed only in the last 300 years. This speed is on a cosmic scale. It's not so much about development. It's not so much an explosion. Say, in the forest of the universe, one is seen from a distance. A civilization that may still be in its infancy. Most likely there will be a sudden explosion of technology. Be a threatening adversary. Then for survival, you will choose to hit it. Or raise tigers as a problem. Let it be a big city. The answer is self-explanatory. That's it. In fact, a complete picture of the sociology of the universe. It has been revealed. The universe is a dark forest. Every civilization is a hunter with a gun. It must be carefully handled. Hidden as a ghost. Because the forest is full of hunters who move forward like him. If he finds someone else, it doesn't matter if it's an angel or a devil. It doesn't matter if it's an old man or a baby. There is only one thing he can do. Shoot and destroy the opponent. In this forest, others are hell. Anyone who exposes himself will be eliminated quickly. This is the truth of cosmic sociology. As long as another civilization is discovered, then attack is the inevitable choice. Looking up at the starry sky, I thought about the logic of countless days and nights. Finally saw through this terrible truth. Next, logic needs to do one thing. That is to verify the law of the dark forest of the universe. He put the coordinates of a planet 50 light-years away from Earth. Amplification function through the sun's signal. Conducted a cosmic broadcast. In the first part, Yuwenjia also did this way. Signaled the three-body galaxy. If the dark forest theory is really true, then this star whose position is logically exposed, it is likely to be replaced by other civilizations. This time, human hibernation technology is mature. Specific measures can be taken. Let humans fall into a deep sleep. The body spans a long time in space, without aging and dying. Logic's wife and children are already in hibernation. After the cosmic broadcast was released, Logic also went into hibernation. If its strategy really works, that is, the planet 50 light-years away, was really attacked, you can wake it up. Call it a day. The mission of Logic has come to an end. After logical hibernation, the wall-facing plan was gradually forgotten. But the history of the crisis era, or with everyone's fear and hope, constantly rushing forward. Let's talk about it next. Humanity's Space Force program. Early crisis era. The world shifted to a wartime economic system. Make every effort to develop space military. What are the consequences of this? Heavy industry seriously pollutes the environment. Greenhouse effect. El Niño phenomenon. Land desertification. Ensued. This eventually led to a significant reduction in agricultural production. Human civilization has encountered a great trough. In 50 years, the world's population has increased from 8.3 billion, plummeted to 3.5 billion. The desertified land has become a hell on earth. But the survival of civilization, it's like a wonderful reincarnation. There are absolute troughs. There will be the next peak. In the 100th year or so of the crisis era, the big trough is over. From the great panic of the first crisis era, recovered humans proposed, give time to civilization. What does it mean? It is to put human development first again. Put the fight against the three-body man in second place. Concentrate on construction. It took 20 years to achieve the revival of human civilization. The Space Force's program developed rapidly. The former idea of space operations is finally not an empty dream. By the 200th year of the crisis age, humanity has built a huge space fleet. Because of the maturity of controllable nuclear fusion technology, humanity has been able to use nuclear energy as much as it wants, rely on inexhaustible energy. Humans are beneath the surface of desertification, built an underground city that looked like a huge forest. Meanwhile, detected by humans, one is suspected to be a three-body civilization detector, is gradually approaching the Earth. It was an aircraft in the shape of a water droplet. In the observation of the telescope, it looks delicate and small. Its surface is an absolutely smooth mirror. Graceful curved appearance. Let it be like a gentle tear of morning. Confident humans think. It was the peace representative sent by the Trimaran fleet to negotiate. So mankind has also launched the scientific achievements of these years. 2,000 space battleships set sail from the Jupiter base. The majestic sail into space to meet the arrival of water droplets. Fleets in space are lined up in a phalanx. Send the ship to advance towards the droplet. At a time when the distance from the water droplets is almost zero. By detecting the appearance of water droplets, everyone was shocked. In the objects created by humans, even the smoothest surfaces, under a high-power microscope, it will also reveal a rough appearance. But the surface of the droplets, no matter how many times it is magnified, it is still a smooth plane. It uses a material that humans cannot imagine. In the midst of the great shock of mankind, water droplets start quickly. It is at a speed that the human fleet simply cannot react to. Launched an attack. Like a bullet sprinting in a straight line. Penetrated the battleships lined up in a matrix one after another. It's as easy as threading a needle. Took less than 30 minutes. All the space power of mankind. 2,000 space battleships. Almost completely destroyed. Only a few escape the ascension. And the water drop doesn't disdain at all. What kind of attack method is used in black technology? It uses only the most familiar way for humans. Blindly confident humans think. The spaceship they built. It has caught up with and surpassed the three-body civilization. As everyone knows, the Mongol cavalry also outpaced modern tanks in speed. What are the consequences when cavalry rushes to tanks? Humans have forgotten the difference between themselves and the three-body man in terms of technology. Forget about your own basic science. Long ago he was killed by the proton that was as terrible as the water droplets. All efforts have become mantis arm stops. Human faith is extinguished again. The flame of civilization is dimming again. After the water droplets, there was a dead silence on the battlefield of the apocalypse. A few battleships, because of the timely escape, survived, although he survived by chance. But they know, as deserters on the battlefield, I can never return to Earth again. They can only sail deeper into the universe. Preserve the living seeds of civilization for the Earth. Between these battleships. The theory of the dark forest is also applicable. On a fleeing warship, The resources available are not enough to sustain everyone's life. According to two theorems of cosmic sociology, several warships must not survive at the same time. So, these warships competing for resources, it's like a few different civilizations in the universe. Between them has been formed. Will the other party be, in order to seize resources, attack my chain of suspicion? Thereupon, a cruel choice is in front of them. Or wait for death, or attack other warships. Ultimately, the blue space became the winner in this dark forest. It destroyed all the lives on the other ships, collect and integrate all the materials, sail into the dark and unknown universe. This blue space will be discovered. The universe is nothing but a dark forest. Another great secret. Please look forward to its return soon. Next, let's return to Earth from the starry sky. Once again it returns to the protagonist Logi. The space fleet was almost completely wiped out. Just when I was despondent, people find that one is 50 light-years away. The galaxy whose coordinates were announced by Logi. Proven the facts of unknown power. Logi's theory. The human world immediately announced the restart of the wall-facing plan. Awakened the logic of hibernation. The logic is also clear. Humanity has only one way now. That is the principle of using the dark forest. Deterring the three-body man. Unless the three-body problem stops attacking. Otherwise humanity will publish space broadcasts. Announce the galactic coordinates of the three-body civilization. But this is a way to die together. The location of the three-body problem was announced. The location of the Earth that transmits the signal is also exposed. The entire solar system is in danger. Those terrible hunters in the cosmic forest. After destroying the three-body civilization, the same will not spare the Earth. It's like it is. Use human bombs to threaten to die with the other party. Humans have gambled their lives on the entire solar system. It is threatening the three-body civilization. However, the three-body man knew about this plan. They blocked the sun with water droplets. The sun is like an amplifier for humans to send signals to the universe. Horn. The water droplets obscured the sun. The human amplifier is blocked. In this case, Logic opened his second strategy as a wall-facing man. At his request, humans have laid out a layer of oily film material in the orbit of the sun. On the surface it seems to detonate these substances when the time comes. Spread into a cloud of dust. Let the trimaran fleet arrive 200 years later. Leave a trail in these dust clouds. Give early warning for mankind. The location of these oil film substances is logically carefully arranged. Once it explodes, the dust cloud that forms becomes an obscuration of a specific pattern. It can cause sunlight to flicker. This flashing signal conveys will be the specific location of the three-body galaxy. This is equivalent to bypassing the shield of water droplets. Let the sun become a cosmic telegraph transmitter. And the button of this transmitter. It was on Roji himself for a moment. He knew that Proton was watching him closely. So he went to the three-body world of manipulating protons, issued a deterrent cry, or announced the location of the three-body galaxy. Both civilizations are in the midst of the blows of the dark forest. Fight like Kilkenny cats. Or the trisomy stops invading. Get out of the solar system forever. When 1,000 troops were launched, the three-body world has made a decision. Protons unfold in the air. A line of words appeared. We were defeated by the scheme. The trimaran fleet retreated. Human civilization and the three-body civilization have entered a state of deterrence and confrontation. 5 years later, the Rogi family sat on a grassy area under the west. The sun shines on the earth. The history of mankind has entered a new era. The era of deterrence. The fear of the dark forest is an eternal shadow in this sunshine. After all, human beings rely on the deterrence of the three-body problem. It is the law of the dark forest of the universe. This is the story of the novel Dark Forest. Can human deterrence of the three-body man be exchanged for eternal peace? How did the legendary dimensionality reduction strike happen? In the fate of eventually encountering death, what kind of struggle will civilization make? The next issue of Death's Eternal Life continues to tell you.